friends, welcome to this talk show by Navkar Digital Institute. And today with me is CA Prasanna Kumar, fondly referred to as PK Sir by his beloved students. PK Sir is a student's first choice when it comes to the subject of SCMPE at the CA final level. He is a young and dynamic practicing chartered accountant, author by passion, and a teacher by choice. He is a graduate in commerce and an associate member of ICA. He has more than 8.5 years of teaching experience in the field of cost management, financial management, portfolio analysis, international finances, derivatives for CA, CS, and CMA aspirants at the inter and final level. And not only that, but also for B schools and MBA aspirants for related topics. Well, he has taught over 20,000 students all over the country and has always aimed towards spreading quality education, which is not only exam oriented, but also helps you as a professional. Well, the fun part is that PK stands for practical knowledge also, which he imparts during his classes and which has been useful for students during examination also. With this, I welcome Prasanna Kumar sir on board with us, where we will be discussing about common issues faced by the students while preparing for the subject of SCMP at the CA final level. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yeah, it's lovely to be in this particular platform, especially Navkar Digital Institute, as this is a brilliant idea actually from Navkar's point of view, having a talk show, that too with respect to the subject SCMP. And thank you so much, Mr. Preet Shah, and for hosting this. Your hosting is simply superb. And lovely to be part of this, so that we can shed some real light into the issues that is being faced by our CA finance students, especially preparing for SCMP.
Yes, sir. And the students who are watching this also will be benefited. For all these questions that I'm going to ask is basically done as a research from the students. These are common questions only, which which haunts the students actually. So my first question is that earlier there used to be a subject of AMA, that is Advanced Management Accounting, consisting of costing and operational research. Yep. Now in the new syllabus, that is Strategic Cost Management and Performance Evaluation. So a lot of students are worried about this new syllabus of SCMPE when compared to the old syllabus. That when they compare to the old syllabus, they get scared. So what are the most significant changes with regards to this new syllabus? And is it something to be worried about?
Yeah, first thing is nothing to be worried about as such, because always when we get something new, it's always for good. Because our industry is becoming more and more dynamic right now, and we need to accordingly change the syllabus according to the dynamic changes of the industry. So otherwise, it's like you're reading something that is 10 years or 20 years dated. And that's after that, you're not going to get any sort of skills that you actually need to perform in the respective industries, once you get qualified as CA. So the beauty is, I say, must be appreciated, because it's a wonderful job that has been done by them. Because what they have eventually done is they have totally revamped the syllabus completely. It's like I could rather say that there has been 60 to 65% or 70% kind of a change that has happened in the subject when you compare AMA with SCMPE. And AMA is more like problematic paper. It was problem dominated, and whereas SCMPE is theory dominated. Let me make myself very clear. And there is nothing called, you need not worry about something as such with respect to the new syllabus, but the point is, it's something new. For example, students got used to theory papers like, for example, law, for example, taxes, right from the CA Inter, and they got used to problematic papers also, for example, SFM and FR and all that is financial reporting, accounts, and financial management. But when it comes to this paper called SCMP, in the CA Inter, it was costing, which was purely problematic paper. But then when it comes to CA final, it is like, I can rather say in a rough way, that is CA Inter costing paper plus strategic management put together, CA final SCMP. Okay. So it's like application oriented theory paper. So which means
like management also and costing also.
Yes.
Everything is mixed.
So you do have problematic stuff, but it is, I would rather say 30% to 35%, but remaining 65% is like, it's more about analysis part, interpretation, and writing the answer in theory. And it is not like Rattamaro kind of a theory where you just have some 5 points and you've by-hearted and you've written. It's not that way. You'll have a theoretical case study for 2 pages, and then you have to write the answer in an application-oriented way. Points has to come from your brain based on the interpretation that you've got regarding the subject, and then accordingly you need to write. So that is strange. So because students are facing it for the first time, that would little bit make them feel a bit strange, but it is not tough. It is easy. To be very honest, it's easy once you know how to actually crack it. Yeah.
So, I mean, does this make this whole new syllabus more challenging for the students? Like in terms, see, earlier there were students that used to, ratify everything and, give the examinations, pass the examinations.
True.
There are chartered accountants who have become a chartered accountant like that. Okay, frankly speaking, okay, it's sad but true. So does this whole system that you have just explained about being application-oriented theory, does this make this whole chapter more challenging? It's not bad, but like challenging.
Yes, you're absolutely right on the point. It is more challenging. I would rather say it's more interesting, and it really it requires your analytical part of your brain to really work upon. Because another point was also really right in the sense when it comes to old syllabus, people have many of the students have went with this by-hearting kind of a thing, and they've eventually passed. They got ranks also, to be very honest, because that's the reality. But then see, there is a simple logic. This is what I tell my students in the class. See, when you try to learn something from practice manual or from previous examination questions and you expect the same model to come into the exam, it's fine because you have already practiced it. You'll write the answer and then you will pass. But once you pass and you get into the company, there you'll have a problem, and that has to be solved. And that problem, will it be a problem from your practice manual or your past examination question, is the realistic common sense point that you have to think of. So all this hard work that we are doing and the certificate that we are trying to achieve, that is the prestigious CA certificate, is to ultimately earn money, and to
it's not for a low paying job, definitely.
Exactly.
That's what used to happen before.
Yes,
sir.
So because I myself had a personal experience where I've written this UPSC exam for the post called assistant director cost, and there were only around 11 or 12 posts. I don't exactly remember because it was 2 or 3 years back, and I think out of 120 bits, it's based on costing subject only. Out of 120 bits, I think around 101 is what I've kept correct. And there were around thousands of CAs and CMAs who have written all over the country. If I'm not wrong, approximately, it's a guesswork based on the number of people in my area, around 6,000 plus for 11 jobs. And the fun part is, at that time, I thought that, okay, in this 6,000, so many rankers will be there, at least 40 to 50 rankers will be there. And I really thought that I'll be nowhere in the list, to be very frank, because I've just put 101 out of 120. But eventually, when the interview call came, 40 people who got selected out of these thousands of CAs and CMS, I was called upon to Delhi, and that day I've realized, I went through the total analytical part, and I've seen that, okay, the questions are not that difficult because I myself have written the exam. But then why is that people weren't, because I just passed with 55%, to be very honest. But then see, it's not about the marks sometimes, it's about what you call the skill that you develop. It's the skills that gives you money. Certificate is a proof that you have skills.
Yes, exactly.
So you have a certificate and you don't have it backed by skills, you're doomed. Maybe you can get an entry, but after 1 year you'll get exposed. So that is what is happening since last 5 or 6 years. That's where Navkar is really special, because I myself have seen so many rankers getting inside the company and getting exposed, and then being asked to get out of the company or being asked to reduce their salary after a few years. So from that perspective, this new syllabus especially is good for you. Why? Because Rattamaro doesn't work in new syllabus. You are passing with new syllabus 100%. You have the skills with you. So that's the biggest advantage. Yeah.
It's nice, sir. And even if I believe that even if this syllabus is more challenging, this new syllabus is more challenging, nobody should be afraid of those challenges, especially those aspirants who are, pursuing the most reputed professional course in India. So that's the point over here. Sir, another question is that as we know, under new syllabus, ICAI only provides study material. Which I've heard does not have, like for SCMP, does not have much questions, like questions in huge numbers, and probably it makes it difficult to practice more questions. So the main concern is whether ICAI study material is enough for new syllabus for SCMP.
Yeah, this is a frequently asked question. Thank you for raising such a kind of question. And The thing is, let me be very frank over here. See, I totally believe that based on the experience of the past examinations and all that, the ICA new syllabus study material is more than enough. The study
Okay.
material, other sources given by ICA, I would rather use the phrase ICA sources, like study material, mock test papers, MTPs, RTPs, revision test papers, additional case studies, additional case scenarios, and the previous examination question papers. This is more than enough to write this exam, and easily you can get 60 to 70 marks, because 80% of the marks from the examination is straight away lifted from these sources. Okay.
Okay.
And 20% comes from international, sources that can
So
be
that's
international
a
exams
point
and
which
stuff.
is very necessary for the students.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Exactly. So my thought process, when you're getting 80% of the questions anyway straight away from this particular, ICA sources, it's more than enough. What do you need? The problem with students is that sometimes they get, too much excited into certain areas, and they think that this is not sufficient. This is not sufficient. See, my personal opinion always is like, instead of reading 500 pages and then forgetting, it's better to read 100 pages 5
100 pages.
times and then remembering in the same time.
Yes,
See,
sir.
so therefore, my advice would be, whatever the sources that you have got, ICA has brainstormed everything. It's a big organization. They have a lot of experts. So they would have thought hundreds of times before doing something. So when they show that this is it, this is what is needed for the exam, it's enough. Still, if you, usually students also ask me in the class, so what I have to do? I need some, additional sources and stuff like that. I used to tell them that, okay, as of now, you have these many sources. I'll ask you a question on any concept. If you answer me, then I'll talk
Okay.
about additional sources. So first be
Okay.
perfect with what you are. Then we'll think about, something else. So based on my experience and my analysis of the papers, it's absolutely sufficient. Absolutely sufficient. I say sources.
All right, sir. Absolutely, sir. So basically, this should not be seen as only ICA study material. There is, as you told, there is MTP, RTPs, past examination papers
Yes.
also, and all this combined is sufficient enough for the students. And it's just human psychology that there's only one book. I don't want one book. It's such a big examination.
Yes.
What will one book do for me? And they
Yes,
want
yes.
more and more books, more and more books. So
Yes,
that's
yes,
just
yes.
that's the problem.
Yeah, that's initially during the process when the examination is 2 years, but when the examination is 1 month, then again it will be exactly opposite. Then I need something that is 50 pages,
There is
70
short.
pages. I need short notes, I need summary and stuff like that. So it completely changes. So therefore, it's better to plan like this right from day one, is what we believe. It 100% works, and there are days where students who have failed just took 9 days of classes and they've claimed exemptions also. So it means that it's the kind of effort
More
that
in
we
the
put in.
brain.
Yeah, and what is the right place to study and right area to study, rather than studying too much. So that's what, sometimes quantity really doesn't matter in most of the cases. So stick on to ICA sources, which include study material, MTPs, RTPs, more than enough.
Okay.
More than enough.
So that means, like, a lot of students ask this question, and this is again a frequently asked question: that is the old practice manual for AMA relevant for this new syllabus?
Yeah, let me be very frank and honest over here, guys. The reality is, old practice manual is not at all relevant for new syllabus. Let me be very honest over here, because the requirement of old syllabus is different. The requirement of new syllabus is completely different. See, I'll give you a small example. You take any chapter for that matter. The new syllabus, the concentration of, the total concentration stuff is completely on interpretation and analysis and how you are going to interlink the concepts. Whereas old syllabus was pretty much like, it was like, pretty much simple.
Practical,
in that aspect. Yeah,
questions.
it's just like problem solution. So therefore, the way problems are being asked in old syllabus is totally different. The way problems are asked in new syllabus is totally different. So my advice would be, do not touch your old practice manual, and especially chapters like decision making and all these things. And first of all, you can forget about it. To be very honest, you can forget about it.
I would like to repeat, sir, especially chapters like decision making, because that's the area where students, get scared and they're like, no, I want to do this also, and spend hours and hours over there.
Yeah. See, this is where I would like to add one important point. See, ultimately, question paper is the ultimate proof for us that which chapters we need to concentrate and which chapters we should not be concentrating upon. Decision making is a chapter, except for the first attempt after the new syllabus, that is May 2018. After that, all the attempts that you have got eventually is where you were approximately getting like 10 marks from that particular chapter. That's it, out of 120. So on average, it's 10 marks. So why don't you why do you concentrate that much on a chapter where you're approximately getting 10 marks? Whereas if you concentrate on some other chapters, like for example, performance measurement and evaluation, which people don't give that sort of importance for those chapters, and they try to finish it off quite a bit faster. And that chapter in November 2019 attempt, you got 50 marks, 50 marks out of 120, one single chapter.
Oh,
50
so
it was.
equivalent to the passing marks.
Exactly. That one chapter, if you would have studied really well, you would have passed it. So the thought process is, this is where the problem is. So see, for students, like, see, I'm very okay with something like problematic. It's interesting for me. So I would like to really solve problems again and again rather than reading theory.
Yeah.
It's my natural inhibition, you know. So therefore, it's not about that. It's about what is required in the exam is what we have to do eventually if we need to pass. So would you concentrate on something that comes for 50 marks, 40 marks and all? Or would you concentrate on something that comes for 10 marks? Concentrating is not a bad thing. But what I say is, suppose you are giving 70 hours of your time for a chapter that comes for 10 marks, then you should be probably giving at least 70 hours of time for a chapter that comes for 50 marks instead of giving 15 hours, 12 hours or 13 hours, which is pathetic. And that's why the results aren't coming. And eventually we, tend to, fail in the exam.
Well, sir, a smart work is something that we would definitely expect from a CA final student.
Yes,
and
yes.
this, what you have just now, analyzed and told us, this is where we lack, where the students lack, and this is the main problem that students are not able to clear this subject.
True. So the simple advice for me to students is that, okay, if you need not believe my words, that's also, it's fine. Just take up your past examination questions, see from which chapter how many marks have come, and analyze at least 4 attempts, and you have your proof right in front of you. So what do you have to concentrate on, what you should not? Simple.
So we will definitely come over this weightage portion at the end of this talk show. But so first of all, I want to ask that as you just now you told that now that this new syllabus SEMP is almost theory oriented, application based theory oriented. So how do you suggest we should remember theory? I mean, this particular kind of theory.
Okay. See, yeah, that's again a fantastic question. So to remember theory, actually, we have various techniques, to be very honest. Sometimes people go for something called mnemonics. And I don't really personally like it. That's personal opinion again, because you keep mnemonics for everything, and finally 50 mnemonics will be ready. And to remember mnemonics, you need another mnemonics, and then it doesn't work. So it's like you will remember G, and G will be there in so many mnemonics. You don't know what G you have to write. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
So I don't like that. Second, Ratamara is obviously out of picture. So if you go for by-hearting, then eventually you have to revise and revise and revise and revise. Ye to nahi chalega. So the ultimate best option is to understand the theory. See, that's what I say in my class. So whenever, say for example, you try to read a particular theory, it's just a one word. I generally see students, they just, read that word and then they're gone. That's it. For example, let's say prerequisites of JAT. It's a concept. It's a theoretical concept.
Yeah.
And he says that, the vendor reliability is one particular point, and good communication is one particular point, and then low variety of goods is one particular point. Now, how generally people read the theory is, okay, low variety of goods, chalta hai. They just try to remember low variety of goods. What I would rather advise is, see why that sentence is given as low variety of goods. So why low variety of goods is a prerequisite for JIT, just in time. You try to understand the essence of it, stay on that particular point. Okay, so JIT is based on pull system. Pull system means it works this particular way. So where you'll be having WIP with you, and because you can't maintain too much of WIP, if you have so many diversified goods, therefore I need to have less variety of goods, only then it works. Although I can't explain right now, but what I'm trying to say is, you have to stay on a particular point, understand it, digest it, and then move on. The beauty of our brain is, if you try to understand logics for everything, it remembers automatically because it is digested. You satisfy yourself. Absolutely. But when you don't understand the logics, then you have to keep on, repeatedly
memorizing and reading and revising and everything.
So that's where a good lecturer comes into picture, because upon his experience and all that, he gives you that little bit of edge, and then you can write it with pencil. Okay, this point means this. And if you read that, it makes the subject interesting, and you don't feel that, it's a big burden for me because I have to study, eventually I need to pass. Even that also will not be there. You will love SEMP, at the same time you'll remember. So that's why I always tell my students, the smartest way to study any course is to understand the logics and is to understand the essence of it. That way you will read it in less amount of time and you'll remember for a longer period. So that's what eventually we need to pass the exams.
Yes, sir. This has been actually an age-old knowledge, and everybody tells this. But I don't know. It just really takes time for students to understand this thing.
See, it all depends upon. See, sometimes what happens is we really love something that is shortcut, right? We are living in a fast world, so anything anything that is shortcut, we'll have to go for it. So somebody says that. I'm going to give you 2 pages of material and all the important questions are there. You read it, you'll pass. Means eventually people will dive into it without thinking about the risk. You got it. So see, it's like that's
Absolutely.
not the way, because I personally see CA I personally see an examination as an examination which will test my skills and all that, and eventually tomorrow that skills is what is going to make me survive. Just because I pass the exam doesn't going to give me the earning and stuff like that. That most important point people tend to miss, and then tomorrow when they get
Uh,
into the company, there all the challenges eventually turn up. Yeah.
Exactly, sir. This is the exact same thing that even I tell students in my lectures, that you don't have to always study from your examination point of view. That I have to give an examination, I have to pass my examination, then only I'll become a chartered accountant. You have to study from an professional point of view, a professional point of view, that you want to become a professional chartered accountant, a good chartered accountant, and that is why you
Yes.
want to study and understand this concept.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely, sir.
Yes.
Uh,
Exactly.
Sir, earlier, like as I recall from my examination days, we used to spend a lot of time behind completing the whole practice manual. As we knew that in old syllabus, I gave my old syllabus of CA final, and we knew that in old syllabus everything comes from the practice manual. So
Yes.
we used to spend a lot of time behind, practicing the whole complete practice manual. So, according to you, I mean, does it really matter for investing hours and hours behind chapters and practicing loads of sums? I mean, the quantity of hours, does it is it really important?
Yeah. See, I would rather tell you, okay, let me explain this a bit clearly. I don't really believe in quantity. I believe in quality over quantity. Now, I can explain you that. For example, even in problematic papers, even AMA, for
Yeah.
example, old costing, I
Hmm.
generally used to tell my students this way, like, don't look at the number of problems that you solve. You look at the number of adjustments that you learn.
Okay.
See, there can be a particular problem which is really challenging, and from one single problem, you'll get so many twists and turns, and you'll be learning some 10 adjustments from a single sum. Whereas in another area, another student will be solving 20 sums, but each sum will not even have one twist. So in that
Yes,
case,
everything
out of
will be the
yeah,
same.
it's like how many you have learned. And in that, say for example, for 7 sums out of same models, then eventually you haven't learned anything, although you have done 20 sums. So I always tell my students, like, don't look at problems as number of problems. You look at them as number of adjustments that you basically learn. So it's all about the adjustment, because the advantage is, if you look at a problem by the way of learning adjustments and you learn a particular adjustment from a particular problem, then this adjustment has got an universal appeal. So in any other problem, when the similar situation or a challenge arises, you can use this adjustment straight away to solve it, which means you can eventually solve new problems as well, which is the biggest challenge for especially the new generation kids. So when the moment they see new problem, "Arey, ye to
They're like,
gaya."
oh my god, I'm scared. I don't want
That's
to
it.
do this. I'm going to fail my
Ah,
examination, and the whole paper is
exactly.
ruined.
No, 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 no. The funny part is, tomorrow in companies or anywhere, even in practice, you're gonna always face new problems. What are you
Uh,
going to do in that particular scenario? So that's why, and it's enjoyable as well. See, the problem is one, confidence. Nobody has got confidence. To be very honest, it's pretty rare. Every time, the moment they see a new question, they feel that ye to nahi hoga. It's done and dusted. I can't do it. First of all, you need not tell him that you
never
can't do
seen
it.
this,
First
sir.
of all, he will think himself. That's one thing. Second thing is analysis of the concept. So you have to spend a lot of time in understanding and digesting the concepts in the right way by interlinking all those stuff. Third is the application.
Okay.
And okay, you look at the problem, read the question. First of all, people don't read the question that seriously the way it has to be read. They don't see, everything is an art, to be very honest. So first time when you read the question, it's like a story, because you don't know what has been asked. Requirement is at the ending of the question, I mean at the end of the question. And after reading the requirement, now you know what has been asked in the question. Now you read it again. So now what has been asked in the question runs in the background of your mind, and then now you know what to concentrate, what not to concentrate in the sentences when you're reading the question.
Okay.
So these sort of things, the way you practice, will make you solve new problems. And once, to be very honest, I really don't believe in this concept called paper being difficult or easy. Till to date, paper can
If
never be
you're
difficult
prepared,
or easy.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, it's our perception, because we expect questions that we have already practiced to come, and if it comes, it's easy. And if the questions are altogether new, it's difficult.
It's
So the
difficult.
real examination is such, every question has to be new. To be very honest, that's the reality. So paper, for me, when I was writing my examination, for me paper was always normal. And that is the reason I'm telling you, my 55%, my 55 or 60 marks that I get in my costing paper is way greater than somebody who's got 95 also. Why? Because mine is original marks. Because every single problem that I've attempted in the examination hall was new for me.
New.
So I've just applied my mind over there and then I worked it. Whereas the other guys, they've already practiced it and then they're just repeating the solution. You got it? So which means tomorrow, eventually in the real world, who wins?
Now and we know that even in CA finals, students are like, they start studying like 2 years, 3 years back. Since 2 years, 3 years only. And they study it 1 time and 2 times and 3 times and 4 times. And obviously those questions, they will definitely remember it. Those are already given in the practice manual or the study material.
True. Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's the thing. So it's like, see, everybody has seen 3 Idiots, but nobody wants to become the real life Rancho does. They appreciate, they clap in the theater and then they say that, yeah, Funsuk Wangdu is the man or Rancho does is the man. But in real life, everybody wants to be Chatur. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
So yeah, we have to learn. Yeah, we have to learn. Yeah.
So quality over quantity should be the motto. And what you told, that concept digestion, then analysis, and then application. These are the steps which will, take you towards success, not only for examination, but also, as a professional.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. That was really a very good advice for the students. Sir, another question is that what is the difference between decision, specific chapters like decision making, transfer pricing, and standard costing, these 3 specifically, of old syllabus and new syllabus? Because these 3 chapters are the same in old syllabus and new syllabus. I mean, the topic at least, I don't know the content, but what is the difference in the content between these 3?
Yes, that's another frequently asked question by many of the students. See, although these chapters, they do sound the same for old syllabus and new syllabus, but the way it is at least 50% it is different. For example, you take standard costing. In old syllabus, the areas that were concentrated were regular variance calculation, the reconciliation and stuff like that. But new syllabus, it's completely changed, and the more focus is on planning and operational variances, the more focus is on interpretation of variances.
Okay.
For example, in old syllabus,
the reason behind that.
Yeah, exactly. In old syllabus, the question used to be like this: prepare these variances, reconcile it, Kaam khatam. That's it. Job is done.
Okay.
In new syllabus, prepare these variances and then interpret these variances. In the sense, you please tell me who has done mistake, whose responsibility is at fault, something like that. So you have to write sentences,
Okay.
So it's like, if a question is for 20 marks, first 10 marks will be like calculations using your calci, all those numbers and stuff like that. After that, it's application oriented theory. Again, I'm telling you need to write, okay, this variance is this, which means this is the interpretation. This number is this, which means this is the understanding, which means based on this is my advice. Something you have to.
This is the application-based theory you were talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Every single question in new syllabus, half the question you have to write the interpretation. So which means by default, half the question is theory. And it is not normal theory. It is again application-oriented theory, which you can't obviously by heart. So you have to just convert those numbers into sentences.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And sir, another frequently asked question is about the case study questions that are being asked in examinations. How to deal with them? Any specific advice regarding that?
Yes, exactly. See, when I was teaching for ACCA and all these courses also, this was the major challenge that I faced. So as you were telling rightly, that it's a smart work that really works rather than the hard work. So if you observe all the case studies, you can easily understand one thing, that I can divide case studies into 3 parts. Part 1, 50% of the answer, approximately. It can go here and there. Part 2, 30%. Part 3, 20%. Now, this 50% is just mere copy-paste from the question. That's what your answer will be. It's a copy-paste of the facts from the question.
Kind of an analysis.
Yeah. Do I have any problem with this 50%? Nothing, because I'm just copy-pasting it from the question.
Okay.
That's it, done. Second 30% will be application. I mean, in the sense, every case study will be related to one concept. Like it's a total quality management or just in time, whatever the concept it may be. So that concept will be there in my mind. So that I have to recollect and then write the 30% of the answer. The third part is where you have to interconnect the first 2. The 50%, which is the facts of the question, and the 30%, which is the concept that you already know. These 2 has to be interconnected, and then the final understanding, that is the application, you have to write in the 20%.
Kind of a conclusion should be given in the third part.
Exactly. Yeah. So that 20% is the only challenging part, which I personally feel. Remaining 80%, 50% you can anyway directly get it from the question, and 30% anyway you have to remember. That's where you need to put in a little bit of work, and you have to remember. So that's where I tell my students to prepare a theory book separately, where 2 pages for each concept must be dedicated. For example, there are around 50 major concepts. So you just take a book of 100 pages also, it's sufficient. And you write, for example, total quality management, 2 pages should be there, or 1 page is also enough. Like that, 50 concepts, every concept must have a page. You keep on revising it every 3 days once, every 1 week once, something like that. So that if I ask you what is JAT, or if I ask you what is target costing, immediately you have to say some 5 points.
At least you will have to, at least you will be able to answer that question.
Exactly. Some basic points, some 5 lines must be there in your mind, so that any question will be based on either of these concepts. Any one concept must have, it has to come eventually, compulsorily. Then immediately it will come from my brain, I'll write it over. 50% is from the question, I'll write it over. The last 20% is where I have to really struggle. So from that perspective, this is the easiest way to, solve the case study. I see students, what they eventually do is 4 pages of a question, a case study question. Sometimes answer goes as long as 10 pages.
Even the examiner will be astounded.
And what these guys eventually do is that they tend to buy heart the whole thing, thinking that ICA to pass karna hai, so you have to pass the ICA exam, which means exactly the answer has to tally with the key. Therefore, in key, it will be straight away from the study material. So I'll exactly replicate. Now, tell me practically, if you want to replicate as it is, a 6-page answer or 8-page answer, like that, you have got 50 case studies. Then how much time it's going to take, and is it practically possible? So the points that student has to remember is, you need to replicate the essence of the answer, not the wordings and sentences as it is, only the essence.
So basically students are again going towards quantity over quality, like whatever example you gave, 4 pages, 6 pages.
Yes. So the point is, there is something called keywords. See, always what we need to do is that when we write any examination, we need to understand how the examiner corrects. So I'm an examiner for CA. If I'm correcting the paper, what would be my thought process? First paper, I'm not aware of the answer fully, so I look at it. And once I'm done with some 40 or 50 papers, I'll get used to the answer. So it just stays in my brain, in my subconscious. Then when I'm correcting a paper, any guy with a common sense, except for some 2%, we can take it as an exception, 98%, they will not look out for sentence by sentence. It has to be matched. If that's the case, nobody will pass. Just the keywords. And that keywords also, he'll not specifically look. It will always be automatically, it will be there in his subconscious brain. So when he corrects, and if there is a keyword and it automatically clicks with his mind, immediately he'll give you marks. He gets impressed, So it's a psychological game that you have to play over there. So people don't understand this. They don't give you
absolutely. There is definitely a problem with this. All right, sir. A lot of students resort to selective studies, and then because of lack of time and everything, then they prepare only for the most important chapters. So is it really a good strategy?
My advice would be 100% don't go for it. Why? Because we can't take chances in CA exams, because CA exams are in such a way that every single attempt in one group, one paper will be tough. And so if your paper in that particular attempt is going to be tough, then you'll be gone. And one paper is enough to,
fail.
Exactly. So therefore, my advice would be, do not skip anything, to be very honest.
But
if there are 10 chapters, for example, in any syllabus as a whole, 2 chapters I can take a chance, because even if I take a chance and if I eliminate that, 80% is there in my hand. So therefore, always I'll be having safety with respect to 80% of the marks in the examination.
But for that, I have to prepare that 80%,
exactly.
Complete.
So my advice to students is that I'll give you the important chapters. What is the first chapter you have to study? What is the second chapter? But still, I tell them, do not skip anything. But in case if there is an emergency that I really don't have time, but instead of suffering too much, let me take a bit of a chance. Let me take a bit of a risk. In that case, yes, you can go for some selective study, but only during exceptional cases.
But only when there is a real time crunch and you really have to do something.
Exactly. Some health problem is there, and still you have to write the exam. Really, you can't study everything, and some other reason which is beyond your control. Then what you can do is that you can take the important areas. You can start with them with an intention that still you have to finish everything. But in the middle, if you're not able to finish, also chalta hai. You'll be taking a better risk. It's a better calculated risk.
Okay, sir. And guys, I would like to tell you, this is not a substitute for your laziness or procrastination. This is only in exceptional circumstances. That's what sir is saying, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you, sir. And now, before going, sir, I don't want to waste this opportunity of having you here and not asking you to give some tips for writing the examination of SCMP, which I'm pretty sure will be valuable to our viewers. So some tips and some weightages, whatever you suggest for the examination.
See, that's what based on that concept only, I prepared something called power notes.
Okay.
And so I'm very much known for power notes. Actually, the moment people remember Prasanna Kumar and PK, they remember power notes.
Power notes.
The intention behind power notes is because to solve the problems, I mean the challenges and the difficulties that students are facing with respect to SCM and PU. So what power notes basically helps you is that, say for it is not short notes. Let me be very clear here. It is not short notes.
Okay.
Say for example, if a particular question has got a solution of 4 pages, and you can't really study 4 pages and revise 4 pages every time because of lack of time. So what I've eventually done is I've cut it short to 1.5 page or 1 page. And then it has been cut short beautifully in such a way that, again, you can reconvert that back to 4 pages. That's the whole intention over there. That's why it is named as power notes.
Okay.
So it is not short notes actually. Short notes means
neither
you cannot
short notes, neither flashcards, nothing like that.
Yeah, nothing.
Just a different concept altogether.
I can say proudly that it's something that's invented by me.
Unique. Absolutely unique. So I've never heard about this. That's why.
Yes. Because the whole intention here is that it has been cut short, that people can understand only when they listen to my classes. Again, it's not for self-study.
Okay.
So it has been cut short and made into 1 page so that you read that 1 page, you revise that 1 page, you remember that 1 page, but eventually go to the examination hall, you can convert that into 4 pages.
Okay.
Because in examination, 4 pages is required to get the marks. If you write 1 page, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The trick actually I have invented when I was preparing for civil services. So I've just imbibed that into the CA preparation as well when the SMP has come. That is one thing. So you have to compulsorily go for it. Second, ICA has done a fantastic job by giving you a beautiful study material, but nothing is perfect in this world. So that also we need to accept. So what I've eventually done is I've gone through each and every page of the study material, and wherever things are complex, I've simplified it. Wherever things are, a little bit so if you are trying to prepare for SNP, whatever I have done, you have to do it yourself. Unless, of course, you're listening to my classes in Navkar. That's a different thing. Okay. So then it's ready-made. I've made it's like a ready-made dress. The dress is ready for you. Okay. But if you have to be like, if you're buying garment, then you have to stitch it yourself. So my advice would be you prepare a notes yourself. This is very important. Many students today, they feel that writing notes is waste of time, which is absolutely not correct.
They also resort to spoon feeding and everything, that everything should be already printed and everything. I don't want to do anything.
Exactly. See, I'll tell you a small example. There was one student who came to me in one particular day when I was taking my face-to-face classes, and he told me that, sir, I need to go for law classes, and some X faculty and Y faculty is there. Whom I have to go? To be very honest, I don't know either of them. I don't have any idea on either of them. First of all, I don't know law. That's a different thing. So how can I advise? So I don't advise that way, because when I don't know about the subject. But I told him one thing. I told him that, okay, you have 2 faculties or 3 options, whatever it is. Go to that particular faculty who doesn't give notes, who doesn't dictate notes in the class. This was my answer.
Okay.
Go to that faculty who doesn't dictate notes in the class. Then he was shocked, actually. Sir, I think you are saying it wrong. Because actually I should go to the faculty who dictates notes, and I should not go to the faculty who is actually not dictating.
That is definitely the general mentality.
So yeah, exactly. So I told him that, see, that's where we are doing mistakes. See, if you go to a person who is actually dictating notes, it means that you're not doing anything in the class. You are getting that comfort, and you're just writing the sentence that has been constructed by somebody else.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, when you have to prepare it and write it in the examination, you have to by heart it, because you don't have the skill of constructing your own sentences. Whereas you go to a faculty who is not at all giving you notes and he's just going with the class, then what you have to do eventually, you need to write your own running notes. So when you write your own running notes, you are forced to learn how to construct the sentences, and that's where you develop the skill. And because of this, eventually what happens tomorrow, if your friend who has never known how to write the notes, then he has to by heart the sentence in the study material of SCNP.
And
study in 10 hours, you can study in 2 hours, because you need not by heart the sentences. You will just keep on reading, you understand the essence, and tomorrow you can construct your own sentences in the exam because you have the skill.
Yes, because you were the one who made those notes, and that is why it won't take time. Yes,
exactly. Yes. And when you prepare your own notes, you get that flashes of, the images of the notes when you write it in the examination hall. Many of us would have experienced the same. Yeah. Exactly, because you have written it yourself, and when you try to recollect in the examination hall, you will get the flashes, the images of the notes that you have prepared. Mm-hmm. See, all these are advantages. So my advice would be, especially if it's a theory subject, unless of course it's an exceptional situation and you don't have time and therefore you have to write the exam, unless if that's kind of situation, in all other cases you should prepare your own notes, compulsory, period. And there is no compromise on this. Then only you will remember, you will develop the skill of writing, and tomorrow the ease of writing will come in the examination, and thereby the probability of you passing will be very high.
And this might be hard to hear for all the students. I would say some students, this is definitely hard to hear for all the students, but this is the reality and you have to accept it.
Yes. See, no pain, no gain. I always tell my students one thing in the class. See, you feel the class to be very comfortable, you feel luxurious, you feel no pain, then it means that you are not learning anything in the class. If you are learning is different from understanding. People don't understand the fark between these two. Learning is different, understanding is different. If there's a concept called indifference point, I told you the definition, and if I ask you the formula also, you can say, then you have understood it. Learning means some other problem somewhere I'll just ask you, and in that the question is totally different. And to answer that particular question, it has to click in your mind that, okay, I have learned a concept called indifference point. Out of 1,000 concepts that I've already learned, you need to pick that one single concept and you have to apply it over here. So if you're able to apply and solve the problem, then you have actually learned the concept. So there's a lot of difference between understanding and learning. So what we have to do is learn. And learning will come only with pain. You will get irritated, you'll get that frustration, you want to throw away the book. All these are good symptoms, to be very honest. So it means that you are learning something and you're developing your skill, which is very good,
all right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And I really believe this whole talk show and everything that we have discussed is really beneficial for all these students, for their examination also, for their preparation also, for everything. Thank you very much, sir. These were some really good advices. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Preet, and thank you, NDI, Navkar Digital Institute, for giving me this opportunity. Guys, many of you might find many of the points that I've told you altogether new, and you might find me as a little bit of rebel also. But what I can tell you is these are all facts. Just remember one word: no pain, there is no gain. So you have to go through the pain. Okay, so that's the point. And I hope this really helps you. If it helps you and you crack the examination, that's all we want as an academy and all that, and as a faculty as well. So thank you so much for Preet as well. Once again, fantastic hosting, and thank you so much.
Absolutely, sir. It was really fun, and thank you very much, sir. I really look forward meeting you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you like this video, share it with your friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more such videos and learn from our expert faculty members. Press the bell icon to get regular notifications whenever we upload a new video. Download NDI mobile app to get complete CA course online. We value your support. Thank you for watching.